Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Big Chris and today we're going to be looking at these. Oh my god, oh they're so cute, aren't they? They're just amazing dogs. I love everything about them. But did you know that the advent of manufacturing of pet food, it actually came about by accident? So early humans took a hands-on approach to domesticating dogs. Cats, on the other hand, would follow humans wherever they would travel and settle. And that is because their food, which is mice and birds, they would be attracted to the grain stores that the humans would have. So they became more or less naturally domesticated. Whereas dogs, on the other hand, their natural ability to hunt prey that was desirable by humans led to a partnership wherein the dogs were originally domesticated and utilized to assist with hunting and for the protection of the humans. As a result, this long-standing bond between man and dog, an early sharing of their foods was established. Man would share with dog, dog would share with man. And this is probably the explanation as to why dogs have a better tolerance when it comes to plant matter, such as fruit and vegetables, whereas cats, they're not really this bothered about vegetables and fruit. More than 2,000 years ago, Roman poet and philosopher Marcus Varus, he wrote the first farming manual in which he advised giving farm dogs barley bread soaked in milk, and a dog would have a bone from a dead sheep. That was a good meal. And during the Middle Ages, European royalty, they generally had kennels for their hounds, and they would have kennel cooks who would create a huge stew which consisted mostly of grains and vegetables with a little bit of meat. Now this meat could be anything like a heart, it could be lungs, it could be livers from various different livestock. So dogs in poorer households, they had a varied diet which consisted of whatever the owner could spare. This could be anything from crusts of bread, it could be bare bones, potatoes, cabbages, or whatever the dog could go off and scavenge for himself. In the 18th century, farm dogs, which needed a healthy diet in order to be able to do their job, were regularly fed a mixture of grain and lard. And some poorer city folk made a living, right, listen to this, of finding dead horses so that they could cut them up and then they could sell that meat to the wealthy dog owners. Great business. By the mid-1800s, with the growth of the Industrial Revolution, came the sprawling, growing middle class who had both more luxury and leisure time, and pets then started to be regarded as a luxury item by everyday folk. And this was the start of an entirely new profession that we know as veterinary medicine. And many of the original self-styled experts were giving advice on dog diets long before the profession was officially founded, which was in the United States in 1895. And it stated that dogs needed a civilized diet, because if wild dogs ate wild meat, then domesticated dogs, they shouldn't. So a young electrician from Cincinnati named James Spratt, he went to London by ship in the late 1850s to sell lightning rods, and upon arriving, the crew threw over their leftover ship biscuits and they threw them onto the docks. And Pratt, he noticed that the eager dogs, they would devour these biscuits in large numbers. And this is where an idea was born. So ship biscuits, also known as hardtack, they were made from flour, water, salt. They were mixed together into a stiff dough. They were baked, then left to harden and dry. And these were pretty standard fare for sailors for centuries due to their easy storage and extremely long shelf life. So Spratt, he realized that making cheap, easy to serve biscuits to sell to growing numbers of urban dog owners would be a great business idea. And in 1922, the Chappell brothers from Rockford, Illinois, they introduced Ken L ration. And this was the first canned dog food in the United States. And guess what? It was horse meat. And in the 1930s, they started sponsoring a popular radio show known The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin. Now, Ken L ration became so successful that by the mid-1930s, they were actually breeding horses purely for dog food, and they were slaughtering roughly around 50,000 horses every year. So during the 1920s and 1930s, the pet food market began expanding. Americans with enough money to purchase their pets' food could find dehydrated pellets and canned formulas made from meats and grain mill scraps, but most pets were still fed primarily raw meat and table scraps, plus, of course, whatever they could hunt for themselves. So the Great Depression of the 1930s and early 1940s had a significant impact on the growth of the commercial pet food market. However, a lack of industrial regulation left the market open to anyone who could produce a can or bag of pet food. So manufacturers began canning horse meat as a way to dispose of the old horses and mules in the waning demand with the age of the new automobile. So in World War I, the military wanted a lightweight food source for military dogs, and manufacturers responded with the new kibble. So this food source was needed for war dogs, which were used specifically to find hidden landmines, so very dangerous stuff. The food was never intended to be a complete, balanced, nor sustained life for long, as the necessary service of these dogs was, well, to go and find landmines which might blow up. So their job essentially was to sacrifice themselves for the soldiers. So this new kibble was never meant to allow them a long-lasting, balanced diet and a great life. It was all short-term, get in there, potentially get blown up by a landmine, but at least you could feed them for a couple of weeks. So there we are, everybody. That is a very brief history of how we went from no dog food to how dog food became more commercialized. Of course, during the 1960s, the 1970s, all the way up to the 2000s, manufacturers get bigger, we get all the different brands, you've got hundreds, thousands of brands around the world, but of course, that all came from what we've heard today, which was how man and dog became domesticated essentially together. They became a partnership in this world. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.